trying to make ends meet. Do you need a minute to get off your feet? Moving to the rhythm of the same old beat. Whoa. A slave to the grind till you drop dead. Tangle with the devil living in your head. Do you wanna party with me instead? Whoa. So we're going out tonight to dance under the city lights and live like we'll never die. Whoa. So we're living it up. We're living it up, yeah. We're living it up, yeah.
Hi everybody, welcome to Cruise Shop Save. We're live again this week. Every Friday we're live at 7 p.m. UK time. I hope you all had a good week. We just had I just had a meltdown because everything just went and I'm still sweating and I've got a little bit of a different scene going on, but I quite like it. But anyway, if you haven't met me before, my name is Melissa of Cruise Shop Save. I provide free maps and coupons of all the ports that you cruise to. And every week I do a live and I interview or I chat with a cruise industry expert or a cruise influencer. And this week I'm really delighted to share that we are going to be speaking to my fabulous friend Matthew from Cruising with Matthew. Hi Matthew, how are you?
Hi, it's lovely to be here. Very good, thanks, especially after the little issue that we nearly had getting live.
Oh my God, I know. So it's your first, I was quite surprised because you're a big YouTuber. You've got a massive following on YouTube. You're like almost 3.7 thousand subscribers. And you said to me, this is the first time you've done a live.
Yeah, never done it. I tend not to be someone who puts my face in front of the camera. I always have something at the very back of the. I tend to do voiceovers and things like that just because I'm always more distracted with the ship. So I feel like people are the same. But it's nice to actually be talking to other people. It's nice to get a community as well.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, I love your videos. By the way, we've got someone saying hi here. Hi, Ferris.
Oh,
nice to say good day. Oh, are you from Australia? Good day. Oh, are you from Australia? We need to know. We need to know. But I find that so your videos I love because I feel like I'm there. You've got such a lovely, calming voice. You really take your time. I can tell you've got a lot of attention to detail. And so if anyone's watching this, you absolutely need to go to Cruising with Matthew's YouTube channel. The ship tours, genuinely, I mean, I'm watching them and I'm like, oh my God, I'm there. Like you're literally taking us on a cruise with you. It's insane. You've got a lovely voice.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I think most people probably get a bit bored after a while in person, but there we go. But yeah, I mean, I just like showcasing it, and it tends to be often when the ships aren't that full, and it tends to be when people are having a wander around, and it's just nice to give people an idea as to what they can expect before they either book the cruise or because when I kind of started cruising. I watched when we went on Britannia. I watched pretty much every video since she'd been constructed. I think all the way back to 2015, and that really got me excited because I knew what to expect. And when I was on the ship, I felt like I knew what the ship was like before it even went on it. So yeah, I like doing that, and seeing that people care about what I talk about is also quite a nice touch as well. It's really quite nice to see.
Yeah, but I mean, you're genuinely passionate about cruising, and that comes across. And when I was watching your videos, I felt like, when you go on a cruise ship, it is really overwhelming, and you're like, oh my God. And you get lost a million times, which is really good. It's like, come on, let's go get lost. But after a bit, that gets a little bit frustrating, especially when you decide to do the stairs and actually you need to go to another stairwell to get to where you've got to be. Yeah. Have you ever done that before?
Yeah, I've done that when, because the way Britannia's restaurants were laid out, the restaurant at the very back of the ship where we went, you had to go kind of all the way to the back of the ship, and you had to go down some stairs. So you could never really go across straight down to the bottom. And that caused no end of bother. And Britannia at the time felt like this massive ship because she is a big ship, but nothing compared to some like the newer sisters like Iona and Avia. It feels a bit small compared to some. But yeah, I definitely I always do that. And even when we were on Sky Princess, so like me and my boyfriend, we were on the cruise for 2 weeks, and even for the entire duration of the 2 weeks, I always went port instead of starboard, and it just caused chaos every single time.
Yes. So wait, because I worked on ships and I still get confused. But isn't port left?
Yes, port is left
So
because it's the same number of letters.
exactly. That's
Yeah.
how I always used to remember it. But oh yeah, it is really confusing. So watching one of your videos, oh, here's a lovely message. Oh, from Auntie and Kirsty.
Oh, hi, Andy and
Hey,
Kirsty.
we met Matthew on 2 different ships. Lovely guy. Yes, couldn't agree
Thank
more.
you.
Could not agree more. See?
Oh, no, but they're
So,
also fantastic as well. Make sure you check Andy and Kirsty out on YouTube as well. They're very, very
yes.
good.
Yes, definitely. So if you're watching this, definitely. Yeah, and if you are watching this and you've got any questions for Matthew or myself, stick them in the comments and we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can.
Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk about as well is predominantly what cruise ships have you gone on and done videos about?
Okay, so I mean, the first one I ever did a video about was Britannia, and that was kind of, so I've been cruising from an early age, but then we took a bit of a break because of the joys of university and stuff. And so when we went on our first cruise again, if that makes sense, as
Yeah.
as a young adult, it was on Britannia. And I took all these photos, and so I decided to kind of showcase them to people. And so that was the first ship that I recorded. And then I kind of slowly worked my way through the P&O fleet. So we went on Azura, we went on Aurora, and then on Oceana just before she went out of service, sadly, when she was sold during the pandemic. But then, especially after the pandemic, because all of a sudden you had all these different cruise lines sailing from Southampton doing these seacations, I decided to give a few a go. So we went on Celebrity Silhouettes, we went on Queen Elizabeth, and also Iona for a maiden cruise, and then it kind of snowballed. And then we've done Borealis on Fred Olsen, which was my boyfriend's first cruise. And then we went on Ventura this last year, as well as Sky Princess, Queen Mary 2, and then finally a press trip on Balmoral. So I've done a few in the past few
Wow, you've
years.
done a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
My annual leave diary is very, very empty now. I don't have much saved up now. I've kind of used it all until
I
April. It's
know.
all used up.
So when you say a press cruise, what's that all about? Why is that different to a normal cruise?
So this is the only first case where we had it, but Fred Olsen really enjoyed the stuff that I put out for Borealis when we went, and so we went on Balmoral for 4 nights, and essentially a press trip is, I mean, people call it different things. It's either a media trip or it's a gifted trip and things like that, but essentially I didn't pay for that cruise, and I think important to know, and some people don't always realise this, is that I wasn't paid to give a particular opinion, and there were things I loved about Balmoral and other things that I think needed improvement or needed some comments on. So when I'm going through my ship tours, as people have probably noticed, I do always say, oh, I thought this bit was a bit narrow or things like that.
Right.
And I very much ensure, as a lot of the other bloggers always do, is to ensure that you actually tell people it's a press trip, because there are rules about that, so people don't feel like they're being misled. But I mean, it was a fantastic cruise, and it's always a dream to hope to get these press trips, but a lot of cruise bloggers like myself, I don't expect them. It's just nice that people enjoy the cruises that I've been on, and if that helps someone, then that's a win either way, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, I totally agree. So you've got quite a few videos on your channel and they are extremely helpful. And so they're mostly ship tours, hints and tips, would you say?
yeah.
Is that typically it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I always try and do the hints and tips because it's stuff that it is more personal. I mean, I'm very much being someone who I like the formal nights and cruises. I like the traditional promenade deck. And so,
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And so I highlight things such as, say, when we're on the Maiden of Iona, I pointed out that there's some cabins which looked out directly onto the promenade, which weren't what I personally would like. Some people would, but I didn't. So I kind of highlighted that. And so it's just to give people an idea. And then I've started doing more cabin tours and things like that to
Yeah.
show people what they expect on a cruise as well. So it's just nice to know.
Yeah, and that's useful because, you know, you don't get such a great idea looking at the brochure, do you? Or looking
Yeah.
on the website. Look who's here! Hi,
Oh,
Emma.
hi, Emma.
Miss you too. I just was watching your video, and I was just saying to Matthew,
Yeah.
I was just saying, I heard someone ask you a question. Do you get nervous before you do a live? And you said, no, not really. You just get a little bit, you know, making sure that the microphone works and stuff like that. So I was telling Matthew, and then I was mucking about with my leads, and everything went down like 3 minutes before the live.
Yeah.
And it's poor Matthew's first live. I was just telling him about your live, and I'm just like, oh my God. Poor Matthew. Anyway, we got it all up and running
Yeah,
again.
we got
But
it.
note to self: do not touch a single wire or anything just before you're gonna go
Yeah,
live.
we learned that.
We did. And Emma said, I've got a balcony on Iona, but we made sure not to get the promenade ones. Okay. Yes.
I think that's
Why
it's
do
good.
you think she's saying that?
I think it was because with the cabins on the promenade deck, essentially some of them you have the balcony and you look out and you essentially, if you were stood up, you're about, like, I'd say about shoulder height, waist height to the promenade, so people can be walking past and you don't really get a view of the sea as much. I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen some people, and they absolutely love them because they like chatting to people, they like seeing people go by, and that's what some people love. But
People watching.
yeah, and things like that. But
Yeah.
it depends on the type of person. So it's not necessarily a bad cabin. It's just not a cabin for everyone. Like, I personally
Right.
wouldn't want that because
Is it noisy?
I'm not sure, to be fair. But it can. I imagine there would be obviously people going past as well.
Because the promenade is, you know, it can be quite rowdy. They do lots of events. Sitting on those bikes, I feel like I was in the Super viewed. Yeah. Yeah.
I could believe that. Yeah.
I could believe that too as well. And so Andy and Kirsty say deck 5 balconies are awesome. So close to the water. Oh yeah.
Because they're the ones that are actually, because if you actually see the cabins, they're actually below the lifeboats, so you don't get any obstruction. It's literally straight.
Yes. Oh, I never thought of that. Good point. Deck 5 cabin balconies. Yes.
Yeah, and I think
Emma
about.
says,
Oh, sorry, go on.
sorry. No, it's just extroverts cabin, not for me. Yeah, you want to chill out.
Exactly, those are the extroverts. But no, I'm not that person. But yeah, like Emily and Kirsty said, I think it was good for, say, if like any dolphins or anything go past, you're very, very close to it.
I never thought of that. That is so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's next? I mean, what was your last cruise?
My last cruise was on Balmoral. That was the press trip up the River Seine, which was a very bizarre experience in the fact that I didn't think cruise ships could sail that far up the Seine, but they could, and that was a fantastic experience. Going to Rouen and Honfleur, that was really, really nice. Me and my boyfriend absolutely loved that. But for April this year, because the Black Friday deals and all that, me, my boyfriend, and my two friends, we're all sharing a cabin. It's an inside cabin for, I think it's £300 per person, but it's for 12 nights on Britannia. So yeah, because of the way the deals were, and I think it just makes life a lot easier. And obviously, it's not going to be the most spacious of environment, but I don't really care.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I mean, when you're young, you just need somewhere to crash. So I'm assuming that's like a family cabin.
Yeah, so what they'll basically have is there's going to be two, like either a single or double. Sometimes the cabins have to be fixed twins, which makes life easier for me because it means that my boyfriend won't steal the covers, so always a win. And then
get good night's sleep.
So I'm not going to complain. And then there'll be two Pullman beds which drop down from the roof.
Right.
But I think it depends. Like some of the more modern ships have like sofa beds and things like that. So I mean, we may change a cabin. We're not sure, but at the moment, I mean, if you think of the value, obviously this is almost a bit more in the extreme end. But even £300 for 12 nights.
12 nights, yeah,
That's
that's blooming heck, that's insane. That is so bonkers. It'd be like being back at college though, won't it? Back in
a
the
little bit.
dorms.
Yeah,
Well, when
a
you're
little
young,
bit.
like I say, you don't really care.
Yeah.
I've got some photos of you.
Oh,
That I've got. So this is
yes.
a lovely picture. Where is this?
This was somewhere around the Western Isles of Scotland, if you could believe it.
Really?
Yep, on the maiden cruise on board Iona. This was one of the sea days as we were going either to or from the cruise. And actually,
Yeah.
and I believe Andy and Kirsty were also on that as well, so they can attest
Mm.
it was quite good weather, except one of the days. But this is just on one of the casual nights before we went, and as you can tell, I was very happy
I
to
can
be.
see that you're in your happy place.
Yeah, this was on our balcony. But yeah, a fantastic cruise, and I think. I mean, with it being a maiden, it wasn't 100% perfect, but we still had a great time. And seeing Iona sail into the island of Iona, which is a bit trippy.
Mm.
That was really special because
Mm-hmm.
the day was quite cloudy. The weather, we weren't thinking the weather was going to be great because Scotland. But as soon as we started getting close up to Iona, the weather cleared and everything went fantastic. And Emma is in the Pullman on Iona. Oh, I've never actually slept in one of those beds because it's normally because I said I booked the cruise, so I get the bed.
I don't know about you, Emma, but I'm one of those people I can just sleep anywhere. I'm not really bothered.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of
Yeah, Andy and Kirsty are saying that the weather was lovely in Scotland. I'd love to sail around Scotland. I have never done that. I'd like to sail around the UK because I think it's a beautiful island, and as long as you get great weather, it's. Oh, Emma says she can sleep anywhere as well.
yeah.
On a
You do.
hammock, anywhere, doesn't matter.
But no, it's completely true. Like I think I remember it was Captain Wesley Dunlop who is like a celebrity, I think, for P&O because he's a fantastic cabin. He always makes everyone laugh. And I think saying things are tickety boo and all this lot.
Oh, tickety boo, yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things he was saying was how it's kind of because I think he's from Scotland, I believe, and he was saying,
Oh, tickety boo.
yeah, tickety boo. But he was saying how he loves, you see it in a different light. Like we sailed around Tobermory, the Isle of Mull, and it's places that you wouldn't expect it to be nice, but it was really good. Very lucky.
Yeah, I'd love that. And
Yeah.
what's this picture here?
So this is me. This is me at 4 o'clock in the morning. No, half four, I think. Watching Queen Elizabeth sail in. So this was on one of the other UK seacations in 21. I'm bonkers. I always get up at stupid o'clock if I'm in Southampton to record the ships come in because it's good. It's good content, and I can't sleep anyway, so I might as well be taking photos.
And I just love the fact. I cannot believe that that's 4:30. Look how light it is.
This was, I think, the end of August, so right in the middle of it.
Yeah.
It was very nice, and I was so excited because I've never done a Cunard cruise. I love traditional cruises and stuff like that, so I absolutely loved it. But exactly, you could sunbathe on going around Scotland. Like that's not what you'd expect, but it was great. Definitely saw things in a different world.
Yeah, I would love to do that. I've said it quite a few times. I'd love to sail around the British Isles because when you watch programs like Coast and stuff, you see all those beautiful views, and I'm like, yeah, I think it'd be lovely, really nice.
It was a fantastic experience.
Amazing, and I've got another beautiful picture here. Wow, look at that.
So this is one that's God, it feels a long time ago now. Actually, this is me and my two friends, Zoe and George's graduation cruise, which is like 3-4 years ago now, which is terrifying. But this was my friend's first cruise. We went on Aurora for 7 nights because they wanted to always go on a cruise, and Zoe actually incidentally joined me on Oceania. When we went around the Canaries for 2 weeks. But it's something that I do recommend for people if you're going with friends, if you can handle being in the same cabin with each other, it really helps drop the price down a lot. And I think it was about, it wasn't, the most crazy prices, and it was comparable, if not a lot cheaper than, say, if it was a land holiday. And hello.
Hello.
But yeah, it's always lots of fun, and yeah, I totally agree, Emma. It really is.
Do you know what? I agree as well, because I took my sister and my brother-in-law on the Virgin cruise last year, and I mean, we enjoyed it. It was great, but it is for first time cruise, and that's why your channel is so good. In
Thank you.
fact, I wished I'd told my sister to watch some of your videos, because there was endless questions. How do you do this? What do you do there?
Yeah,
Like so many questions and stuff.
yeah,
It is nuts when you with first time cruises, because you're the all knowing oracle, and so there's a million questions and
yeah.
things like that. So it was difficult. But I've got a couple more pictures. All your pictures are lovely. Oh, I love this picture.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
This is on the very front of Celebrity Silhouette. So this area is actually in front of the gym. There's like this little secret deck area, and this was the very first cruise after the pandemic.
wow.
I think I actually cried when I got on board, which my friend was because I was so happy, and I'm embarrassed that I think my gran actually got upset. She was saying, "You didn't cry when you didn't see me after the pandemic," but I did with the ship. So
That's funny.
yeah, it was an experience, but it was his very first cruise as well, and he's hopefully going on on Britannia. So I didn't scare him off too much, getting up at 4 a.m. and crying when I boarded the ship. But it's good. The drinks are included, so it was fine.
There is a lot of emotion, though. We were saying yesterday when we had a little catch up that we were talking, because you get up really early if you're staying.
Yeah.
It's a nice thing to do, isn't it? Stay the night before, because it takes the pressure off. Get
Yeah.
stuck in traffic or whatever.
Yeah.
And you were saying that you get up, like what you just said there. You get up at 4 a.m. You're excited. You go down to the ship. You watch it the port, and you watch it sail in.
Yeah.
And I was saying that, like, if you're driving down, though, you do get like this well of emotion when you see the ship, and you're just like, oh my God, it is so awe-inspiring, isn't it? And
Yeah.
exciting at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I get so excited about it. It's so good. I don't think I'd try anything else.
Oh, Emma, you've never cruised on Fred Olsen. Mind you, I've never cruised on Fred Olsen. I've heard that Fred Olsen, people who cruise on Fred Olsen are die-hard Fred Olsen
They are.
fans. Is that true?
Yeah, they are. I mean, it was actually quite accidental because I only had Your Sense of Theme, not much annual leave, and there was a really short cruise that we'd managed to sort out, and I think it fell over a weekend. It was like a Thursday to a Tuesday cruise or something. It was something really weird. And so because of that, it meant that I didn't use too much leave, and so everything was okay. And so as a result of that, I gave it a try. I hadn't heard anything about Fred Olsen, and I think some people are like, people were thinking that they were quite like a bit stuffy. I think that's kind of what the impression I got.
Really?
People were like, yeah, that was there was actually someone at work that I knew, but he said, "Oh, you're going on Fred Olsen. You wouldn't be the target demographic because the target demographic is older passengers." But saying that, we had a fantastic time. I mean, the weather was awful because it was December around the Bay of Biscay, so the ship
no.
the ship was rolling and all this lot. But the staff was so friendly, and the ships are really, really, well done. And this was one of the first cruises. And actually, when Omicron started kicking off, we were on the ship. And so we had to do all the PCR malarkey afterwards to get on, but we felt so safe. And it was such a friendly environment, and I'd recommend them to anyone. And the ships are a lot smaller. So with, like I said, with Balmoral, she could actually fit all the way up to into Rouen, which is a fantastic experience sailing through a river. Very confusing. And yeah, really, really enjoyed it. So I'd recommend them. But it is a more traditional line. So if you're wanting, water slides and things like that, they're not.
It's not. Yeah, it's traditional. So, Emma, we showed that picture of you at the front of the ship. She says it looks like an egg at the front of it. We've got this comment. This is a great comment from Wayne. Remind people who have selected a specific cabin to opt out of a potential upgrade, as there is no refusal with P&O. We've just been booted out of our aft cabin. Oh.
That's not ideal. I think, yeah, actually, I don't think I think Wayne might have mentioned it on my YouTube, on Twitter, but I didn't get around to replying to it. This sometimes does happen with P&O and actually any cruise line, that if you haven't opted out of your upgrade, they can sometimes move it, depending on pressures. Sometimes, I think, especially with COVID, some of the decks are quarantine decks, or they'll have a section of cabins which they will use for quarantine purposes if people have COVID on board. And so they will have to move those people, which unfortunately they can't really control. So I can understand how difficult that must be for Wayne.
Frustrating, especially if you want to be at the aft, which is a nice
the
place to be on a ship.
And
back to Fred Olsen, Emma said the foods look so good, which I didn't expect.
And it's good for dietary intolerances, because one thing that we were really worried about, because and my boyfriend's dairy intolerant, and severely so. But because the ships are a lot smaller, we had like a big meeting with the executive chef on the first day. And
what? Oh my God, that never happens on the big ships.
Yeah, and so, but because we had a lot of, I felt it was a lot smaller ship, so they had more time for us, I think. So and the food is really, really good.
Yeah, and we've got this fabulous comment. Oh my God, how amazing. I'll be on my first cruise in 39 days on the MSC Virtuoso. You've been on this ship, right?
No, I haven't been on Virtuoso. It's one of the few ships I haven't done. I'd like to try.
Oh, wow. So you've booked 2 cruises this year and you haven't been on a cruise yet. So you go first one in 39 days. Oh my God, that's 6 weeks, little over 6 weeks. And then in November, QM2. Oh my God, that's insane. Lots to look forward to. That is so exciting. And Sail with Gail and Mike says, evening. Good evening.
Hello, Gail.
How are you? Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Yeah, it's much appreciated. But just to go back to the QM2 cruise, I think that'll be something that is really special. That is, if you're anyone who likes the more, the more traditional way of cruising, I think QM2 is the place to go. It's a fantastic traditional ship. And
I was going to say that when you're talking about Fred Olsen. I wouldn't have said that Fred Olsen was stuffy. And I've never sailed on a Cunard ship, but my impression is that Cunard is very traditional and maybe a little stuffy. What do you think?
I think with Cunard, I think they're changing a lot. I think, one thing that caused a bit of a ruckus was the fact that they said that men don't have to wear jackets on evenings. That's something that they've changed. They're definitely modernising, I think, in some regard, which is both good and bad. I don't want them to go too far, because the reason why people keep cruising exactly.
Yeah.
And I think
have to keep that.
Yeah, and Queen Anne, I think, is going to be a big change. It's going to be a big shake-up, I think, for a Cunard ship. I mean, there's not going to be water slides, but but like I've been on 2 cruises. I went on Queen Elizabeth with my mum and my gran, and I went with my mum around the Med for 2 weeks on QM2. And it's not stuffy per se, it's traditional, and you do feel looked after, but I never felt like I wasn't good enough or things like that. I think, but I very much embraced the more formal. I wore a jacket every night because I had the sleeves, and I was like, might as well go for it.
Yeah. I wonder what everyone else thinks who's watching, because like for me, I love a formal night, cocktail dress. I love going out and seeing all the gentlemen dressed in lovely suits. I love looking at all the ladies and all the, the glam and all that. But a lot of people are not up for it, are they? They don't want it. But because it's a great balance. It's only a couple of nights in the cruise. You don't have to do it every night, But so Sail with Gail and Mike are saying we would seriously consider Fred Olsen, especially as a sailor at Liverpool.
Yes, that's where we went on. That's when our cruise was from Liverpool, and it was really good because I live in North Yorkshire. So what made it really helpful was, instead of a 5-hour journey down, instead I got an hour and a half's Transpennine train, and we got to travel on the day, so it was a lot easier. So, and they do sail out of, I think it's Rosyth for Scotland, Portsmouth, Dover. So they are spreading out a lot more as well.
Oh wow, that's amazing. We've got so many comments. Andy and Kirsty said we only had to go down one deck. Yeah, that is
exactly.
So great.
It's walking up 2 flights of stairs to get to the observation deck. That threw my mind. Like that blew my mind, because it's a lot. I mean, the biggest ship is about 70,000 tons, so that's the size of Aurora.
Right.
And that's the smallest ship in their fleet. So it does balance out. But yeah, it's good for people with mobility issues as well, I imagine, because there's not as far to go. So I think that's
exactly.
But,
exactly. And then Wayne is asking another question. Do you get the best deal through an agent or direct with the cruise line? That's a good question.
I think the vast majority of the times, I would say 99% is probably through an agent. Because
I was going to say, in my experience, just because I was working on cruise ships when they brought on the future cruise consultants, because a lot of cruise lines have got these future cruise consultants. So that's them selling directly. And cruise lines will not upset the travel agents, because they are the main driver for selling the tickets. So I think it's better to have a cruise planner, though. Do you so you want someone who knows a lot about cruising? So I know, for example, Emma Cruises, she knows a lot about cruising, and she also partnered with another lady called Emma, and they provide cruises as a cruise planner. So that's all I'd say. I don't think you would save much money either way, because, like I said, the cruise lines do not want to upset the agents by undercutting them. I don't think that answers this question really.
No, I think for the vast majority, I'd say travel agents, definitely. But one of the things is, one of the important things is, like, there's very rare cases. So I have a blue light discount for working in the NHS, and sometimes that can only be applied directly with the cruise line. So in very rare cases, it might be cheaper if you have a specific thing that's only applicable to the cruise line. But I think, and it's also nice to help, say, people like you mentioned with Emma, like Emma Otter, who's a travel counsellor, fantastic. I booked lots of cruises with her, so it is something to consider.
Emma Otter.
Yeah, and then
Emma Otter. Yeah.
I booked my cruise with a new cruise app called My Kind of Cruise, and that's more like an app-based cruise line, an app-based agent as well. So there's lots of different ways you can book stuff as well. So I'd recommend those. And there's the link as well that we mentioned.
Yeah, My Kind of Cruising. So that is, just to go back to what you were saying, is an app, not necessarily online, which is really useful, isn't it? How useful is that? Is it better?
I like it. It is quite nice, because then you have things where you can compare it and stuff, where you can compare different cruises. But the scary thing is, it's very easy to book a cruise.
Oh, like when you're waiting for your coffee at Starbucks.
I'll just book a 7-night cruise. So it is really good, but it's almost scarily easy to book the cruise. But if it's something to consider, if instead of say things online, the app is also something quite a good idea as well. So just a thought for people there as well.
I like that app, My Kind of Cruise. Yeah, that's a really good app. So we've got quite a few questions to get through here. So Emma said, yeah, we love Cunard, but I've got to be prepared for it and need to have a bigger suitcase.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, of course. All the formal nights.
All the suit bags and the dresses. I mean, it's quite a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah, and KSG Game said, I've always been into dressing it. Yeah, me too. And a big fan of ocean liners. Yeah, you're absolutely. Yeah, because ocean liners are the big traditional cruise ships, aren't they? They're not.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, the reason that ocean liners are designed to go across the Atlantic, that's their main purpose. And so they're not cruise ships. And that's something, if you ever say QMT is a cruise ship, there'll be someone on Cunard who will correct you. Because an ocean liner is designed to go through the Atlantic. So that's why QMT's got the really pronounced bow. It's got the raised lifeboats. It's meant to go through, force whatever seas in winter and shrugging them off. Whereas a cruise ship's more designed to go for warmer places.
Yeah,
So if
and
it's rough seas, I'd rather be on QM2.
yeah, and it bobs about a bit, isn't it? So back to the Wayne's question about should you book through an agent or direct with the cruise line. Emma Cruises said if an agent's website says call for prices, yes. I will never ever know.
Yeah,
Love apps. I
yeah,
agree. I totally agree. Oh, that's brilliant. And so I've got a couple more pictures here.
let's have a look.
I love this picture.
Oh, yeah. This is me and my boyfriend Yayan on Borealis. So this was one of the more calmer days of the cruise, and yeah, he really enjoyed it. And it was something like Emma was saying before. I was terrified because like if he doesn't like cruises, this is going to be a big issue in a
It's a
relationship.
deal breaker. Yeah, yeah. Oh, do you know what? Yeah, I'm the same way. So my husband, he cruised once and loved it. And then we went on our first cruise together. And actually, and this is, I wanted to talk to you about this as well, out of the UK last year, last year?
Mhm.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah.
And because I said to you when we were chatting yesterday, I was saying to you, so are you more, do you prefer to do the no fly cruising, or are you happy just to fly to a destination? Like if you want to go to the Caribbean, you got to fly to Miami, Florida, or something to get on a ship.
Yeah. I
And
think.
your answer was interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't fly really if I can avoid it because I think there's it tends to be more expensive. I mean, I know
Yeah,
there are
definitely.
good exceptions to that, and I think Emma's pointed out one. And when she was on an MSC cruise, I think it was ridiculously cheap because it was a last
Yeah,
minute thing. But for the
yeah,
vast majority of them, they are quite expensive. And I just prefer the hassle, or the lack of hassle rather, the lack
right.
of hassle of
Yeah,
going to a UK port and sailing
yeah,
there and coming back. And I may also have a slight fear of flying as well, which I am going to get better at. But it's there's lots of places around
yeah.
that I haven't seen yet. I mean, there is a limitation because obviously the ships can only go so fast and my leave only stretches so far. So
Mm,
eventually I'm in a lovely privileged position where I'll run out of places I've not seen before round the 2 week mark of cruises.
hmm
But I think I'd definitely like to do some American cruises. I'd love to
hmm
fly
hmm
over and do the Caribbean or the one
Oh
like
yeah.
a pure bucket list would be doing one of the Antarctic or the Arctic
Oh,
expedition cruises. I'd love that, but
absolutely.
might need to save it up a
Absolutely.
little
That's
bit.
on my bucket list, but that's serious money that.
Yeah,
Um yeah, because I feel like if you can I've got to put two words together, I'm not really sure they're good. A happy outcome of COVID is that we here in the UK have now got newer ships, more
yeah,
cruises, because we used to get all the older ships. Or we'll just put that old Independence of the Seas, Royal Caribbean. They can sail out of Southampton and that's it. We'll just serve sunny little island. Not many people on it. Not many cruisers. We'll just give them that little old, it's not little ship, but you know what I mean. But like an outcome of this horrible COVID pandemic where cruising just stopped and we're all extremely depressed was
yeah.
that we've now got these brand new ships. The maiden voyages are all out of the UK. Princess has announced that we've got 85 more cruises in
Mm.
2024, and other cruise lines have followed suit. It's insane. It's
Yeah, it is nice to
nuts.
see. It's really nice to see, and I think one thing I'd love, just because I don't want to fly, I'd love Royal Caribbean to bring one of their Oasis class into Southampton. I'd love that so
Yeah.
much
Yes.
because I mean that's one is that type of class of ship I'd love to do. But then, like you mentioned with Celebrity, say like Celebrity Apex, so they're bringing
Yeah.
an X class ship to the UK, which is massive for the
Yeah.
UK market, and
Yeah.
I think Princess have done fantastic. And it's a very, I think you do notice slight differences in the Americas. It's an American cruise line, obviously not British, but it is quite nice to actually get these different ships. And
Yeah.
let's have a look. So just shop around.
Yeah.
That's quite interesting what Gail and Mike have said. That's
Yeah.
really interesting.
It is interesting.
Um,
I think that, but this goes, look, we've got lots of people here in the chat that are cruise experts themselves and cruise
yeah,
influencers and have been cruising a lot. And you're getting all this advice. And this is why I say it's really important to go with a cruise planner, not just a travel agent that just happens to sell cruises.
yeah,
Um, because you do get, I think there are a lot of offers and deals, and it just changes all the time, and
Yeah,
they keep up with everything that's going on. It's like their life, so
yeah,
and once you find a good one, someone like Emma Otter, stick with them,
yeah. It always
you
works.
know
But I think it's a good thing to actually point out. And I think with depending on how the prices work for you in your circumstance and things like that, it can be
yeah,
cheaper for some people. But it just depends on
exactly.
what you found. But yeah, that's a good point actually.
Yeah, just because everything changes all the time. So
Yeah.
Wayne said, if you fly, he's got a question. If you fly to a ship, it's part of a package, and the flight is seriously delayed, does the ship wait for you? Or do you just chase it around? It's the point that stops me flying a ship. It does wait.
Yeah, they do wait.
Yep, it will wait. Yeah, I've been on ships before where we've still been there at 3 o'clock in the morning the next day, waiting for a delayed flight to come in. And I mean, it's interesting because here we go again with different cruise lines doing different things. So you've got Marella that is completely integrated. So
Yeah.
this is what I like about Marella actually is, have you cruised on Marella?
No, they're also because I think most of them are fly cruisers, so I haven't had a chance to do it yet. But it's on my list. There's a long
Don't they
list that are on
sail?
it.
Haven't they got? They did have one ship out of Newcastle, didn't they?
I think they did when they did like the electric sunsets cruises and stuff that
Yeah.
people have been on. But yeah,
Wait, wait, wait. Hang on a minute. I've got to see it in a Geordie accent. Didn't they have a cruise that sailed out of Newcastle?
I'm not doing that. I would
Where
want
I'm on.
a lot of
No,
people.
that's where I'm from. It's like, sorry. Let's keep it. This is a good question, right, Wayne? I had to change because no one understood what I was talking about on the ships with all the Americans. So I could not have that Geordie accent. So I had to ditch the Geordie accent so people could understand what I was talking about.
Love it.
So yeah, you've got some cruise lines that actually sell you the entire package. And so Marella Cruises, they own the aeroplanes, they own the ship, they own all the ground transportation. So it's all completely integrated. So yeah, and it's interesting because you go on a Marella ship and you've got people that have flown in from Newcastle, you've got people that have flown in from Liverpool, you've got people that, so all the flights come in at different times. But yeah, the ship will wait. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's caused some almost issues because then they've had to miss ports or something because,
Yeah.
especially I think in America at the moment, because of all the storms, I think with Southwest Airlines, I think it's called massive amounts of cancellations, but they will wait. And it's the same thing with, say, if you're on a coach and you travel down to Southampton and there's a big, pile up or something and you're stuck
Yeah.
and you're waiting, they will wait.
Wait. Yeah.
But it is just something to be aware of.
Yeah. Here we go. I booked an Iona cruise. My friend was £200 cheaper to book through us than direct. No idea why. Worth checking. Oh wow. I wonder,
Wow.
Emma, would you put a link in here that I can put up so people can see? Because that is a lot of money to save.
Yeah, I think also it's like what people have said. It's shopping around because most times I think a travel agent will be cheaper, but it depends. There's a quirk in the system, and then you have to see what happens really. But yeah, it's
And I think
definitely
at the moment, I mean, it is getting better. Ships are getting fuller and fuller. Is that English? Fuller and fuller and fuller.
we'll say yes.
It's Friday night.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Whatever. And they're just trying to get bums on seats. And so, yeah, I think it is about shopping around. Yeah. And ML says, I prefer to fly somewhere like Barcelona so I can get guaranteed sun and the flights are cheap, usually. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
that
good
makes
point.
sense. I mean, I think I'm weird like that. I genuinely like 2 or 3 sea days just to kind of continue on and just kind of like get myself into it. If that makes sense. And I kind of like it if I'm always like with the Bay of Biscay, I'm hoping it'll be a bit choppier or something, but that's just me. See, this is how I work out my budget on cocktails.
That's about 50 cocktails. That is so true. Oh, that's another topic, isn't it? The drinks packages. Oh my God, we could talk all night about the drinks packages. Yeah. But cruise, sorry, what were you going to say?
I was like, the joys of the drinks package. Yeah.
Yeah. Joys of the drinks package. Let's just ask one question then, since we're talking about cocktails. What, in your experience, because you've sailed with quite a few cruise lines now, in your experience, which ones are the best value for
I
money?
think because I tend like say my favorite. I'm not sure value. I'd probably not value, I guess, but the best one I've had was one of the frozen margaritas on Sky Princess, and it had this little face. Um, they managed to put like with all the garnish. It was like this little face that they put on. Or I'm trying to think. A couple of the. I think it was called Midnight Over the Atlantic, which was one of the Cunard cocktails, and that was like a peppermint style one.
Oh,
Um,
that sounds nice.
yeah,
Refreshing.
some people don't like the idea of having peppermint, but it didn't taste like toothpaste. It was really well nice. It was really well done. Very
Mm.
nice.
So I take it you're a cocktail man.
Definitely a cocktail, which is the issue
Yeah.
because they're not cheap.
No, they're not cheap. But you're not on holiday and you're not on a cruise until you have a cocktail in your hand. Come
Exactly.
on. And
Exactly.
the more garnish, the better.
Yeah, it's always good. And I think my favorite probably like place to have them was the Martini Bar on Celebrity Silhouette.
Oh my God, yes. I
Which,
love the martini bar. I used to work, what ship did I work on? I worked on a celebrity ship,
yeah.
and which one did I work on? Millennium, I think it was. Years
Okay.
ago, long
Yeah.
time ago. And we used to, I mean, you do 14-hour days when you at sea when you're working on ships. And we used to all knock off about, 8 o'clock, and we would just sit in the martini bar. You couldn't sit in large groups, but you'd sit with your close friends and just drink a nice martini, and then you just felt like you were in heaven. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very luxurious, isn't it?
Yeah, it was very luxurious. I vividly remember going to the Martini Bar, and then it was the first time we'd sailed out of Liverpool because that was one of our ports when we were on
Right.
Silhouette. And so me and my friend were running with, because obviously martinis aren't really designed to move because
No.
flat glasses. And so I was there running down trying to get this one and not spill it anywhere as we were watching the sail out from the promenade. But yeah, always a martini of some description. It's my favorite type of
Yes.
holiday drink. That's my
Definitely.
go-to. What about you, Melanie?
Definitely. Right. I've got this lovely picture to the
Oh.
ship.
Yep. So let's see. This is when we were on. This was just as we were about to embark upon P&O's Oceana, sorry, and that was February 2020. So this was actually the last full cruise that Oceana did with P&O before it got stopped due to COVID.
Oh wow.
We didn't realise how lucky we were during this because we actually got diverted. I think they changed some of the excursions when we were in Tenerife because that was when there was an outbreak of this flu virus, as we thought at the time. And then we got back, and obviously the world had changed by the time we'd got back to the UK. But it's one of my favourite cruises. It was, I think it was about £700 for the 2 weeks each of us. Very much a last minute cruise, and it was such a laugh. But as you can tell, we were both very, very happy. We needed the holiday, that's for certain.
Yeah. Every single picture of you on a ship, you've just got this massive smile on your face. You genuinely love cruising, don't you? You're very, very passionate about it.
A little bit too much, some may say, but there we go.
No, never too much. So Andy and Christy said we're on an Oasis class in 3 weeks, and we have the drinks package, unlimited cocktails by the pool. Oh yes.
Fantastic.
Yes. Amazing. Oh, well, this has been brilliant. Would you believe we've spoken for nearly 50 minutes?
Wow.
I love chatting to you. I've just got a couple of things I want to share with everybody. Like, first of all, if you're watching this, you definitely need to check out Cruising with Matthew on YouTube and also on all his socials, except for Twitter. It's Matthew Cruises. We were just talking about that. I didn't even realize I've been following you on Twitter for ages, and I didn't realize it was different.
I forgot to. Don't worry. I only realized when I looked. It's different.
Yeah. So you definitely want to check out my Cruising with Matthew videos. They're really, really good. My last and final question, and then we'll all have to go because it's Friday. We need a cocktail.
Yeah, we will do.
What's your next cruise?
So that's Britannia for the 12 nights with my boyfriend and 2 friends. But
you said that. Sorry.
No, don't worry. But I'm really looking forward to it because, like I said at the beginning of the talk, it was very much that's the ship that started Cruising with Matthew. Like that's the crew. Like thanks to that ship, I took all the photos and it got people interested in what to say. So I've got a soft spot for Britannia, so it's going to be quite nice coming back. Oh, it'll be like 5 years difference or something.
Yeah.
And see what happens. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it, and I'm sure there'll be lots of things. And I'm glad you enjoyed it, Wayne.
Yeah, me too, Wayne. Thanks for watching. He's got to go and watch Everton get stuffed by United.
Enjoy the footy.
Optimistic. Enjoy. Thanks for watching and thanks for all your questions. I hope we're able to help. So don't forget, we are live every Friday night. I interview someone as wonderful as Matthew every week. And will you come back and chat to us when you get back from Britannia?
Oh, definitely. I'll have lots to talk about, I'm sure. So I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you for your time, Matthew. I really, really appreciate you
Likewise.
joining us. And if anybody wants any help, if you're watching this after we finish going live, just put some comments and you can either tag Matthew or myself, or do you know what? Both of us,
Yeah, why not?
we're on social quite a lot. So we'll get to
Yeah.
your question as soon as we can. But everybody have a lovely Friday. Have a great weekend. And thank you for watching. Take care.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, everyone. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.